Good evening. Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas Council meeting for Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Thanks everybody for joining us. That's council team, staff, visitors, delegations. I know throughout Eastern Ontario, the warden and other mayors are kicking off their meetings by giving a big shout out to anybody that may have anything to do with clearing and cleaning up of the snow that we accumulated over the last week. So certainly want to thank everybody at the counties for round-the-clock shifts, keeping our county roads clean. And I do know they'll be back to clean up the snowbanks at the roundabout and other activities over the next couple of days. So thank you to the counties, and then to Director Hyman and his crew for their work over the past 5-6 days. I know they worked 23 days in January, and they probably worked every day in February. So just a shout out to all the roads crews, sidewalk crews, part-time staff, full-time staff, whoever it might be. And I know even Lisa Gibson gets frustrated when her sidewalk machine breaks down because she wants those sidewalks cut clear for all the residents. So big shout out to all the folks that help in that area, including the mechanics. Can't forget the mechanics that have something to do with that. But what is also I'll mention is shout out to all the residents that helped each other. I saw lots of posts, of Facebook posts of people helping each other clear out their driveway. So shout out to all those folks in the community as we cleared up from the big snowstorm. So big thank you. So with that being said, we'll get the meeting called to order here. Item number 1, let it be resolved that the February 19th council meeting in the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 6:03 p.m. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, item number 3, confirmation of agenda. Any errors, omissions, deletions, amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Number 5, adoption of minutes. I have a motion. Let it resolve that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as presented. The regular meeting of February 5th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have a public meeting tonight. I have a motion that the public meeting to consider a proposed zoning bylaw, Safavia, 68 Campbell Street, Morrisburg, be opened at 6:04 p.m. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And I'm sure our consultant, Ms. Moran, will repeat this, but I will declare the public meeting now open under the Section 34 of the Planning Act. And anyone who wishes to speak in favor or contrary to the proposed zoning bylaw amendments will be given the opportunity to speak tonight. Before any comments, I'd ask you to provide your name and address. And I'm also required under the Planning Act to advise you that if you do not make an oral presentation or a written submission before the proposed zoning law amendments held tonight, you will not be entitled to appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And I will call upon our planning consultant, Stephanie Moran, to take us through the application.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. So tonight we're here to have the public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment for application number Z01-2025 for 68 Campbell Street in Morrisburg, also commonly known as Safavia Furnishings. There we go. So this meeting, as Mayor Broad said, is being held pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act. Requests to be notified of the decision can be submitted to myself at planner@southdundas.com. This meeting is an open forum for the public and council to gather information, ask questions, and voice comments and concerns. So I'll go through an overview of the zoning amendment, and then followed by an opportunity for the applicant to comment or present. Reza is on Zoom with us today. Following the presentations, there will be an opportunity for comments and questions from the public and council, and an opportunity for the applicant to address them. A decision may be made later this evening or at a later date. This There is a 20-day period of appeal that begins following the decision. So as mentioned, if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of South Dundas before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the municipality of South Dundas to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And if a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of South Dundas before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. All right, so I'll just go over sort of the planning framework for Ontario. So we have the provincial planning statement, which is previously known as the provincial policy statement, the PPS. Is the statement of the government's policies on land use planning, and it applies province-wide and provides clear policy direction on land use planning to promote strong communities, a strong economy, and a clean and healthy environment. The Planning Act states that a decision of a municipality in respect of the exercise of an authority that affects a planning matter shall be consistent with the policy statements issued. So sort of from the top-down approach, you have the PPS, and then you also have the county official plan, which takes those policies and takes them into a more regional framework. So the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry official plan outlines a set of goals and objectives for development in the county for the next 20 years, while having regard for the effects on the social, economic, and natural environment in the municipality. The official plan contains policies to be used for the review of development applications and any other planning decisions. And then what we commonly, and what we're here to discuss tonight, the zoning bylaw. So the zoning bylaw controls the use of land in a municipality by designating or zoning land parcels with specific land zones. The bylaw specifies the permitted uses, so think commercial, agricultural, or residential, and the required standards, so building size, setbacks, location in each zone. Zoning bylaws and any amendments to the zoning bylaw must conform to the official plan. And the Planning Act states that despite any other general or special act where an official plan is in effect, no public work shall be undertaken and except as provided in subsection 2 and 4, no bylaw shall be passed for any purpose that does not conform. So getting to this particular application at 68 Campbell Street. So the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from general industrial, being the M2 zone, to general industrial special exception 12, that's M2-12, to reduce the number of parking spaces for a 202,444.5 square foot warehouse facility from 113 to 34, so 34 parking spaces, located in the front yard for the first warehouse phase. So the property that was just on that map is the property in question. It's colored here in gray. This is the official plan designate schedule for this particular property, and it's identifying the property as employment district. So as for the zoning, it's currently, as I mentioned, general industrial. So that's the red outlined area. And the proposed zoning is to be general industrial special exception 12. And I included, this is the site plan for the property. So you can see, it's hard to see, but the yellow lines, those are indicating the parking spaces on that site plan. And the gray portion is the portion to be built out. So they do have room for 113 spaces, but are proposing to only build out those of which they need. There we go. Oh, I went backwards. Maybe that's the end. Oh, that's the end. So to date, no public comments have been received. So I'll give that back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Moran. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak tonight on this zoning bylaw request? Seeing none, any questions from the council team? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Just on the parking and the future parking, just kind of scrolling down to the actual additional literature. So if they need additional parking in the future, is that written into the bylaw that they have to consider the number of spaces for their next 2 buildings or 3 buildings?
So that's what I've proposed in my recommendation that will occur during the regular meeting. But I have proposed to reduce, let me just pull it up here, the proper wording. So I've proposed to include specific provisions that there would be 1 space per 100 meters squared for the first 5,000 meters squared, and then an additional 0.2 spaces per 100 meters squared above that 5,000 meters squared.
Okay. And so that'll be written right into the bylaws?
Yes, that's
it's
correct.
And just looking at the site plan, we are still satisfied that there's enough land area for their trucks to go in and out and to store any trailers and whatnot on site, that they don't have to spill over on the streets or anything like that? Because that is kind of a common thing that I've seen with these warehouses, is that they realize that there's not enough space within their land area, so they kind of try to spill over on the streets and park overnight and whatnot. So we're still confident that reduction of parking and all of that good stuff, they'll still have land area available for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. I know Reza is online. Any comments, Reza? There weren't any comments from the public, as you heard. You're not unmuted if you're speaking. Well, we can leave it at that. There weren't any comments from the public for him to respond to at this point. Any other comments from the council team? Okay. Very good. I will now close the public meeting. I have a motion that the public meeting be considered closed at 6:13 PM. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Ms. Moran, if you have Reza online, you just text them and just say we've moved on. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to delegations. So we're going to go to 7B, SDG Counties Library. So we have from the counties, Director of Library Services, Rebecca Luck, and we have one of their board members, Jim Alguire. Thanks for coming tonight.
So good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff, and any members of the public who may be watching. My name is Rebecca Luck. I am the Director of Library Services at the SDG Library, and I'm here tonight to provide you with an update on the library services. So South Dundas has 3 library branches: Iroquois, Mooresburg, and Williamsburg. The Iroquois branch is open 20 hours a week, and the branch has been a staple in the South Dundas community for a very long time. I've shared on the screen some key statistical information with regards to 2024. As you can see, the branch material circulates very well, with over 11,000 materials distributed, over 1,000 digital materials borrowed, 358 hours of public computer usage, 528 library patrons, nearly 7,000 visitors, and over 100 new members. Programs are very important to the residents of South Dundas. The programs offered bring a sense of community, especially after the events of COVID-19. Iroquois has numerous recurring programs, including Cozy Reads in the library, Fabulous Fridays, Annual Plant Swap, Annual Cookie Exchange, with proceeds going to the Dundas County Hospice, the Fall Comfort Food Recipe Exchange, and new this fall is a new book club which they name themselves the Perusers of Pages. Iroquois branch also runs a variety of seasonal and special programs, including Earth Day Fun, Hidden Hearts Week, Creative with Cricket, Craft a Father's Day Craft, Share Your Stories, and Summer Reading Club, Junior Edition. In 2024, we saw 143 adults attend programs and 453 children attend these programs. The Morrisburg branch is open 44 hours a week. In 2024, the Morrisburg branch remains one of our most popular and well-used branches, with nearly 19,000 print materials borrowed, 1,300 digital materials borrowed, over 800 hours of public computer usage, 1,083 library patrons, nearly 13,000 visitors, and 251 new members. Morrisburg is a community hub for its programs, with numerous recurring programs including the Seaway Yarn Knitters, the After School Club, which has been running for 2 years, the Morrisburg Spice Club, and the Fiction Fellowship Writing Group. Morrisburg branch also hosts bi-weekly visits with the local public school, the local Christian school, and the local daycare. Morrisburg also runs a variety of seasonal and special programs, such as the Stuffy Sleepover, Cat People Party, March Break programming, Altered Bottle Craft, Hyuga parties, and recycled reads. In 2024, we saw 622 adult members attend programs, 416 teens, and nearly 1,000 children attend these programs. The Williamsburg branch is open 16 hours a week. The Williamsburg branch is popular amongst commuters, with patrons coming in and out of the branch quite frequently to pick up their holds items. In 2024, we circulated 6,700 print materials, nearly 600 digital materials, 59 hours of public computer usage, 254 library patrons, nearly 2,500 visitors, and 31 new members. Although the Williamsburg branch doesn't see the same volume of visitors for its programs in comparison to Morrisburg, it serves as a staple in the community by providing book bundles for Timothy Christian School. The branch also hosts a couple of recurring programs, including drop-in game nights and Saturday morning coffee and chat. The Williamsburg branch also runs a variety of seasonal and special programs such as story times, March break programming, Create It with Cricket, and we have local author visits with Nikolai Krimp. In 2024, we saw 73 adults attend these programs, 5 teens, and 86 children. As part of our community outreach initiative, SDG Library has been popping up at community events in Morrisburg. In 2024, we attended the Family Fun Day in Morrisburg, and we saw 72 interactions. We also attended the Morrisburg Beach Day, which saw 40 interactions. It's all about the river with 120 interactions. And of course, we also attended the Morrisburg Santa Claus Parade, which we distributed over 400 candy canes to. The SDG Library provides outreach services to long-term care communities and homebound patrons. In Morrisburg, we conduct monthly outreach visits to the Chartwell Hartford retirement residence, where staff provide library materials and offer special programs, crafts, and digital resource help. Just today, LSA Gen brought residents patrons reference material regarding the Seaway as part of Local History Day. In Williamsburg, we conduct monthly outreach visits in 2 locations, the Dundas County Hospice and the J.W. McIntosh Community Support Facility, where staff provide library materials and visit with residents. South Dundas residents are encouraged to visit and explore the local library to access free Wi-Fi, print, scan, copy, fax, use a computer, attend a program, borrow museum passes, borrow musical instruments, play games, puzzles, borrow nature and exercise kits, and board games, all for free. At the SCG Library, community members can connect to our digital library, where they can listen to audiobooks, borrow ebooks, comics, magazines, read newspapers, listen to radio shows, watch movies and TV series, watch craft tutorials, learn languages, and learn new skills using LinkedIn Learning or Canadian Encyclopedia. For those looking to create, community members can turn their imagination into reality with the use of 3D printers, vinyl printers, sewing machines, button makers, VHS to DVD converters, die cutting machines, laser engravers, sublimation printers, and photo scanners. Have I said you can do all this for free? SDG Library believes in fostering creativity and imagination in children. Last year, during the month of August, the SDG Library launched Take and Make kits. Each kit came with wooden pieces to make a rocket ship. It also came with paints and stickers. The simple instructions gave room for creative freedom, and participants turned their rocket ships into unique works of art with vibrant colors, intricate designs, and innovative themes. So we created 192 of these kits, and we were very, very excited to see 26 very proud little creators share their pictures and creations. The SDG Library hosts the TD Summer Reading Club all summer long. It's a program designed to inspire children to build upon their literacy skills. The program is delivered by 2 Summer Reading Club facilitators, which are student positions, and they lead a program at all 15 of our branches, providing stories, themed crafts, activities, and a reading challenge for children. Last year, the program ran for 7 weeks, and we saw over 1,000 attendees. SDG Reads is sloganed "One Book, One Community" program, and it encourages all residents across SDNG to read the same title before coming together for an evening with the author. Last year, we featured Canadian author Craig Shreve and his novel, The African Samurai. The event was hosted at the North Stormont Place, and we welcomed 75 community members. So, what's ahead for this year? First off, we've recently partnered with the Nation Public Library in their time of need. We listened to public feedback, and as such, we're launching 2 new databases, one for a digital comic book database, and the other one being a video streaming service. In the coming weeks, we'll be launching our March break programming. Towards the end of May, we're going to be completing a membership drive at schools entitled Every Kid a Card. And in November, December, we'll be launching our holiday initiative entitled Pages for Presents, wherein we invite community members to help spread the joy of reading by purchasing and donating a book to a child in need. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Great. Well, thank you, Ms. Luck, and thank you for coming tonight and sharing your story, but the library story over the last year. I know the council team know how I may be the most enthusiastic mayor when it comes to the library services when I'm sharing my monthly report with the council team. But thank you, and I think a few things I'll add on, being a board member as well, is we continue to strive, and we have an aggressive marketing plan to increase borrowers and increase activity. So as Ms. Luck continues to comment, most activities are free, or if not all the activities are free. So it's great for the community to use those. And, you know, people are finding it tough times buying groceries. That library is a great place to get entertainment from in all avenues. You can see not just reading a book. There's lots of ways you can interact with the library. So super excited. And I'm in a book club now. And obviously, and I know on this Friday, I'm actually reading to students at Iroquois Public School. It's part of Reading Week, so I'll be at the Iroquois Public School reading. So thank you, Ms. Luck, and thanks to board member Jim Elgar for coming tonight. Any questions or comments from the team? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. One of the things that always amazes me, you know, you hear it from time to time, is why do we have libraries? You know, this day and age, why do we have libraries? 22,122 visits total. And our population in
11,044.
Exactly. So I know that we're drawing from other than just South Dundas, but I think that shows you the numbers. It's like double our population, right? So congratulations on a good program. I know you've carried on the legacy, and I do know the passion here beside me talks about it a lot. So no, congratulations to you and the whole team.
Thank you.
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Broad. Whenever you said you joined a book club, I was thinking to myself, when do you have extra time to read?
I got to fit that in.
Thank you for your presentation. The question I had was about the Williamsburg Library. I did see something on social media not too long ago that they were celebrating their 10-year anniversary, and I was just curious, that library's been there for quite a while. What was the history before it became an SDG library?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. What we are celebrating actually is an open house for the Friends of the Library. So the Friends of the
Okay.
Williamsburg group, they banded together 10 years ago, and that was in response to the talks about closing that branch in particular. So the Friends, they grouped up together and they said, we advocate for the library, we want this library to remain open, and they were big motivators and big speakers for the community. So we'll be hosting an open event next Wednesday to commemorate the Friends group and just welcome them and have them be a part of the board meeting that night.
Very good, awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Luck, for attending our meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, a second delegation, 7A, Boys and Girls Club of Cornwall, STG Dunbar Summer Camp. And with us tonight is Jackie Richards. Welcome, Jackie, and we'll get you all set up here. Okay.
Again, thank you for having me here. And my goal today is to touch base a bit and share the BGC story, and then the idea, hopefully idea of partnering together for summer of 2025 for summer camp. But first to tell a little bit our story at BGC. So our vision is for youth to discover and achieve their dreams and grow up to be healthy, successful, and active participants in society. We have 5 core values that really sort of guide us in all of our programming with the young people, and that would be belonging, respect, encouragement and support, working together, and speaking out. A little bit about us, Boys and Girls Club, which we used to be known as, now it's called BGC. BGC Dundas is a safe, inclusive space for all young people. It's to come together, to grow, to build their confidence, reach their full potential. I'll talk a bit about our BGC Dundas story. Our BGC Dundas story started in 2019. We have had a program in Winchester since 2019. We were reached out by a local organization that was running youth programs at that time and had come to a place where they were unable to continue to run them. So at that point, we sat down together and partnered some resources and kind of planted our BGC flag. If I would have known what was around the corner in March of 2020, I don't know if timing is always the greatest thing, but sometimes you just take a leap and you go from there. Proud to say 5 years later, our BGC programs in Dundas, in Winchester are thriving, and we're hoping to be able to have more locations for our program. Big picture story of BGC is we're BGC of Cornwall and SDNG. We have, this past year, we have 10 locations across SDNG that run programs. 7 of those are in Cornwall, and the other 3 are in Winchester, Williamstown, and Alexandria. And perspective-wise, we've had 1,200 young people be part of the BGC program in the past year. We, of course, when you work with young people, you need to feed young people. Having healthy, nutritious snacks is woven into our programs. As we all know, food security has been something that more and more of our families are dealing with. Last year, we served 65,000 snacks to our young people in our program. We're also a member agency of BGC Canada, which is a national kind of umbrella organization. So being part of BGC Canada, the resources or what are the perks at a local level. We have access to funding through national partnerships. Some examples for us would be WestJet, Best Buy, M&M, OPG. Those are national partnerships that we've been able to engage at a local level. Another perk, if you want to call it, is also access to training for staff and for volunteers. Has been, we have through various programs and platforms for our teams. We also have access through our national office to programs, resources, and curriculum for sort of nationally branded programs. I'll name two of them. One's called Learn On. Learn On is an educational program for young people in high school with the goal of getting kids to graduation date. And another one's called Kid Food Nation as an example, which is a cooking life skills program. And of course, it feeds bellies, but also teaches them the skills behind, what does healthy food look like? How go into a grocery store, what does that look like? How do you recipes? So those are kind of examples of national programs that BGC Canada has created and the resources and the curriculum that at a local level we're able to have access to. Sorry, I'm not so good with changing these guys, sorry. Our staff, at BGC, we always say our staff, they're the heart of the clubs. I always say young people, the logo that's on the outside of the door isn't really what's important to the young person, it's the smile behind the door. It's the first hello, how was your day, excited about something they told them the day before. So our staff really are the heart of BGC. And we recognize that we actively look to recruit and prioritize hiring staff from within the communities that we have programs in. And that's important to us. How do we do that, people ask me? Part of that is that we look to be able to offer programs in many of our locations year round, which allows us to retain our staff. A stat that I'm super proud of is currently I have 31 part-time staff with BGC that were club kids. And so what we say is that when a club kid becomes a club staff, it speaks volumes of the impact that the program has had on them. And to be honest, they often are the best staff because they've lived the story of being part of the program. Something that's really important, many of our staff are young in their working life. They're either young, this may be a first job, this also might be young in their education journey. So training is key for our staff. Here are some examples of some of the training that we provide. We're a high five training, BGCU, which is a platform of training for all of our staff that come on, mental health, first aid, assist. These are all training opportunities that we provide or work with our team, because if I'm quite honest with you, the landscape of working with young people these days has changed drastically, and the supports that they need as well. In order to do that, you need to be able to have your team have the knowledge and training and resources to be successful. Here is, because of our club, we recognize, BGC Dundas recognized that kind of we needed to get better at being able to sort of collect sort of our hard data, if you will. And so we participated in a kind of a national learning and impact project, which let us at a local level measure and enhance and be able to demonstrate our impact. And so this is something that allows us to know, what we're doing well, areas that we need to work harder in. It lets us sort of help us guide us strategically of what we need to focus on moving forward. So there's a couple stats that are kind of there, but 90% of our youth in our programs, felt that they mattered to more people. That's one that always sticks out for myself, because that's, I think, you'd be surprised when kids, don't feel that, what that looks like on a day-to-day to a young person. When we encourage kids to try new things, 93% of our kids feel excited to try new things. These are often things that they may not have had the opportunity to try without the BGC. Summer camp, the pitch. We would be looking to partner together to maybe provide a summer camp to the residents of South Dundas. We'd be looking to provide a full-day summer program up to 7 weeks. And the demographic for this camp would be ages 4 to 12. Partnerships, as we mentioned, partnerships are key. and BGC is a non-for-profit, and these are key. These are what allow us to, kind of make our programs stronger, be able to collect resources, and I think that our strong partners have shown in our current summer camps that we deliver. We have strong partners with Jay's Care Foundation, Children's Aid Society, Let's Talk Science, Ottawa University of Engineering Outreach. We also have a partnership with Children's Aid Society where youth who are part of CS come into our summer camps for no cost for them. And we currently work with municipality support has been instrumental in being able to have these programs to the residents of the various municipalities in SDNG. They, provide the space, promote the programs, and we recognize the strong partnership that we've had with multiple partnerships, and would like to develop that with South Dundas. Childcare subsidy. This is something that I think is really important to acknowledge. Boys and Girls Club BGC is an authorized rec provider recognized by the local government, and because of that, we're able to access childcare subsidy. So what that means is families in our summer programs, working families are able to request subsidy support for summer camp, and they go through the assessment protocol that goes with that. We're able to tap into that, or have our programs are able to have access to that subsidy due to the authorized rec title that we have from government. That's been huge. A significant amount of our families that are in our summer camps across SDNG, access this is a subsidy, which is, of course, is a sliding scale, but it's something that has definitely made summer camp more accessible for many families. And then, what our families, what our parents have to say. We survey our parents as well as our kids at different points throughout the year. We recognize in order to make programs stronger that we need to have their voice in the programs. And here are some of the quotes that we've pulled in our last round of surveying our families. But I think it's important for us also to know that we are in the right direction, or do we need to sometimes step back and look, are we doing the programs the way we want to? But I think that when we break it down, and 92% of them feel that staff are friendly and approachable, 94% of our families would recommend BGC camp to others. 90% felt their kids liked the activities. We'd like to think that we're on the right road. And that is the end. So thank you for taking your time. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Sure, well, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing the BGC story with us, as we're not as familiar with it because we don't have it in our community today. I do know our next action request is we're going to continue the conversation, but I will open it up as any comments or questions at this point. Councillor Ward.
Thanks, Mayor. So I would love to start by saying thank you for coming. As a mom and as someone who has a lot of friends that are in the age group where children often have nowhere to go anymore, there is no, I don't want to say there is a lack of childcare in this community. Summer, after school, during the day, March break, PA days, there's not a lot of options. So having you here is very exciting for me, very exciting. I actually shared with a mom that you were coming tonight in hopes that perhaps council will support your request. I do have a question, and it is actually leaning more towards, I know in other areas like the city of Cornwall, you offer after-school care. Is that something that you would consider if your pilot project is successful this summer in our area as well?
So I can touch a base about that. So we do have after-school programs that run in Cornwall, 7 actually, to be exact. We have 7 different locations. On a daily average, we have about 300 youth who are in those various programs. Those programs have tapped into provincial funding that was prioritized for certain specific regions. That's something that we've advocated to be able to expand. In the last 15 years, we haven't been able to expand that funding to be able to bring in new locations. So that's something, I mean, we recognize that need is right across SD&G. And the need in the rural area is just as high as it is in the urban area. So it is something that we actively sort of advocate for, and would obviously, you know, if moving forward, if there was an opportunity and the need was there and it could be done in a way that was financially feasible, we would always explore that.
When you get back to your office or when you have some time, if you could share with us what funding that is and what leg of the provincial government that comes through, we could be happy to follow up and
Fortunately,
do some.
I definitely will. It's
Yeah.
funding that has not opened up it opened up in our first year, and it has not opened up again to take in anybody new, and the amount has also stayed the same for the last 15 years. But the need, as we all know, has exploded. So it's definitely something that I can share a bit more information on.
Yeah, it'd be great, 'cause it's always new areas of conversation that we can have with MPPs when we're meeting with them is always good. We've been telling our stories on other topics, but I think this is another story we should be talking about. Councillor Ward?
Just to follow up to that too, Mayor, I wouldn't mind actually if you circulated back through staff how much it would cost to operate something like that and after school without provincial funding. Just out of curiosity, if it was a fee-based service, you know, maybe with some in-kind support from a municipality, for example, what that would look like. I'd really be interested in looking at that. This is a service that we really need in our community. We have 2 public schools and we only have 1 daycare. So as you can, well, actually, sorry, we have 3 schools. One's not a public school, but anyways. So I'd be interested in seeing those numbers, if you don't mind sharing that with staff, and then they can bring that back to us.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks a lot for the presentation. I think this is a program that's well worth it. I suspect one of the challenges that we have in the rural areas is the travel to and from and being able to get the kids to these camps. I'm just wondering, does your organization potentially not, I'm not suggesting offer actual rides, but do you promote ride sharing? Do you connect families with each other that, you know, maybe is coming from an Iroquois area or a Dixon area? Maybe there's multiple families that would help. So could you just maybe touch upon that a little
Sure.
bit?
And I would say that we thought the exact same thing probably about 10 years ago when we started to offer some programs, summer camps particularly, in the rural areas. But our experience was that the rural families were resourceful, that they figured that out. And interesting enough, it was a barrier that we thought we would have to navigate, but it was something that we saw that collectively families figured it out. So, one parent would pick up the kids, 3 kids, another parent would drop off the other, you know, a group of kids. So it wasn't something, as much as we thought it would be a barrier that we'd have to navigate through, we saw that the families seemed to be resourceful in figuring that out already. And from what they told us, it often was because they were doing that already for other things, for sports, for after-school activities, that it was something that it was sort of a norm for them. And so it was something that, I mean, providing the program, if there was a family that reached out to us, of course, we would try to work with a family on a case-per-case basis. But often we have found that our experience was they often were resourceful and as friend to friend, neighbor to neighbor, seemed to figure that out on their own.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. If you'd like to stay just for the next segment, that'd be appreciative in case we may have another question. But we'll move on to action requests. So 8A, PF 2025-02, Boys and Girls Club SDG Cornwall Summer Programs, Director, Parks, Facilities, and Recreation, David Jansen. Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor Brutt, and good evening, Council. So in front of you tonight is a action report as just a follow-up to the wonderful delegation that we just heard from Jackie there. As you guys may remember, during the 2025 budget presentation, I sort of outlined that a lot of the focus for growing rec programming this year would be through third-party partnerships. You saw a little bit of that with the Youth Wellness Hub. This is the continuation of that, and there's a few more that we're hoping to work on here in the future. So this is the first of that. So I'm excited to see we're going to continue to offer our summer camp program in Mooresburg, and for the last 2 years, in the month of August, we've taken it on the road, and it's been most successful in Dundas, which is one of the reasons why we turned to the Boys and Girls, or BGC, sorry now, and said Dunbar might be the best location, because from our own experience, that's where we had the most success. So we're hoping to still run our Mooresburg camp. This would be 8 weeks rather than 1 week in Dunbar to serve the rural community. As Councillor Ward already hinted at, childcare is an issue, so anything we can do to increase that offering to the residents, I think is a great offer. And then there's some things that BGC offers that we don't offer that are fantastic. They have a better training program because they're highly specialized. This is all they do. They have their subsidy program that, we'd love to run out as a municipality, but the administrative side of it is very difficult. They focus on it. So as Jackie outlined, the national partnerships that they have for food and stuff like that, us just running our one summer camps, we don't make those partnerships that they do. So I feel like this is a great partnership for South Dundas. And I will say, when Jackie and her team came out, Melissa and I took them on tour. They came here, they looked at our facilities here. We went to the community kitchen at the Justice Building because they have a food offering. They looked at that facility. We took them to the potential of the wellness hub that we're working on, looking to fill more days in there. They offer amazing teen mental support programs that would definitely be on my wish list. And, we wanted to, put the idea in their hair, maybe play a little bit of long game there. But the thing that worked out in the short term was offering these camps at Dunbar. So an 8-week program that they'd be able to run for us out of Dunbar. Outside of that, it is this summer. So I did reach out to the association up there. Obviously, they control the bookings and stuff up there. The one feedback they did have that we'll have to just coordinate a little bit. I think if council approves it in principle, we'll meet on site with the association, myself and BGC, and just sort out storage. Like every facility that we have, storage is a big issue. But if BGC is going to be there for 8 straight weeks, they're going to want to keep some stuff on site. So I'll just have to coordinate a corner with a few totes that, can work around baby showers on the weekend, but still provide day camps during the week type of thing. Outside of that, I think everything is outlined in the report fairly well there, and hopefully it's a successful partnership, and I'm hoping it grows into more and is a great service for South Dundas.
Well, yeah, thank you, Director Jansen, for bringing it forward. I think it's great to continue to increase our programming without increasing some of our costs, and we're partnering and have ways to do that. So I think this is a fantastic next step as we can continue to grow. I mean, we talk about growth overall. If we're going to grow in population and housing, we need to grow in everything else too. So this is a great avenue. Questions, comments for Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Brodney. I 100% fully support this. I think this is a great program, great initiative. Just something I was tweaking though, when you were talking about storage, is it always an indoor or can that storage be outdoor? I'm just thinking about our pop-up tents that we have Seaway helping us build and whatnot, if that's an opportunity to put a pop-up tent, it's a storage building, but you know what I'm saying, right? At Dunbar to help with that storage.
And yeah, obviously that's something that we can look into, and if it's the solution that we end up at, or if this is a partnership that goes on long term, like ultimately we're just signing up for this year right now, and if it's not successful for BGC, well, ultimately they might not run it next year if it's not successful for them. So I wouldn't want to put too much of an investment in there, but if it's a success for them and they're coming back every year, maybe that's something that we could review then.
Great. Councilor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to speak a little bit. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you for thinking outside the box. You and your team are doing an awesome job, Director Jansen. This makes me really happy. It will make a lot of parents very happy in our community. I think it's a great use of our facilities that I don't want to say are underutilized, but could have some more use. Dunbar is a beautiful facility and it's rarely used, and I'm happy to see that it will be used for at least 8 weeks or 7 weeks in the summer. I 100% support this, and I hope this is a continued partnership. And I wanted to ask you, are we planning on also advertising on our channels for this program as well? I know it competes with ours, but again, there's the opportunity for.
And yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, obviously this is an easy partnership, and for us to help support it with communication locally, that's the easy stuff, and most certainly we'll be able to work with the BGC team on that.
Perfect, thanks.
Councilor Smith?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad. The only question I had, I think maybe you already answered it. Would this program be displacing any existing programming at Dunbar, or is that mostly just weekends only back there?
So yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, that was one of my preliminary questions I had for obviously the committee up there, and they had no problem with the only concern that they had was storage, not really the usage during the week, so.
Excellent. Okay, I have a motion that the council accepts report PF 2025-02 to support in principle to partner with BGC Cornwall SD&G to offer an 8-week summer camp program at the Dunbar Hall, and that the clerk and Parks Recreation Facilities Director be authorized to execute agreement outlining the partnership and facility use. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Richards, for attending tonight. Okay, moving on to 8B, PF 2025-03, Crime Stoppers, reduced ice time rental. Director Jansen.
So yeah, through you, Mayor. So this is almost a copy and paste report from what council would have seen last year. It was the first time that the tournament was hosted last year. This is a second year hosting the tournament. It was a great success last year. It follows the same precedent that we set for some other charity groups. If I have the mic, I'll send a quick little plug to the delegation of authority bylaw. Will hopefully take a little bit of this administrative item. I know the way that it's written as Clerk LeBrun's working on it is if it's a recurring donation that it would just be approved automatically. So hopefully this might be the last time that we get to do this, and hopefully in the future I'll just send a little KIR that says that this was approved again. So thank you.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that council approve 50% reduction of ice time rental fees to the Seaway Valley Crime Stoppers First Responders Tournament scheduled for March 27th, 2025 at the Morrisburg Arena. Reduced total rental fee from $13.20 plus HST to $6.60 plus HST. Moved by Councilor Vino, seconded by Councilor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to C, FES 2025-01, request for tender, forestry unit pickup SUV, Fire Chief, Director of Fire Services, Jeremy Eldred Hughes. Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Firstly, I'd like to just echo some of the opening remarks and thank the crews, both boots on the ground and in supportive roles, for clearing the roads and stuff this weekend. It was very important helping emergency crews ensure they could arrive safely to serve our community, so thank you. This report is a report of clarification, so this is secondary to the capital sheet that was submitted and approved by council for the replacement of Unit 144 out of Iroquois. That truck is currently used for forestry firefighting efforts, and through the report you can see it's detailed that it's currently a 1500 series pickup, undersized for the current duties and how it's being utilized. So this report is just clarifying what it would be replaced with a more robust vehicle, properly outfitted for those services.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments? Okay, Councilor Smith.
Yeah, through Mayor Broad. So actually, this is kind of just another question, just regarding fire. We have advertised right now, the fire prevention officer is whatever, if somebody's hired for that, or is that going to be another additional vehicle that's required, or will we be able to use the existing one that we have?
So through you, Mayor Broad, the FPO, once hired, will be utilizing the vehicle out of Morrisburg.
Okay, it's the one that's
So
already
it'll be a current vehicle in fleet, as it's just used for daily operations.
there. Okay, so there'd be no extra one after that, okay?
No.
All right, okay, that was,
Very good. No, that's a good question. Thank you for that. Okay, I have a motion. Let it resolve that Council of South Dundas hereby authorize the fire chief to proceed with issuing a tender for forestry unit pickup SSV in accordance with the municipal's procurement policy and all legislation, and that the results of the tender process shall be brought back to council for final approval prior to awarding the contract. Moved by Councilor Vino, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, number D, FES 2020-02 automatic aid agreement with North Dundas. Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is just outlining the new agreement proposed for the automatic aid between North and South Dundas. Our previous one had automatically renewed after expiration. The new terms of the agreement are more of a cost recovery basis and a little bit more fair terms in them. I have spoke with the chief of North Dundas, and we've come to this agreement. Provided that council's in agreement, we can go ahead and send that over to them for review.
Good. No, thanks on that, Chief. It's always good to find, some cost savings or pay per use versus outright payment. And glad to see in the report that, you've worked out the arrangement with North Dundas. So it sounds like we have a typical agreement that we can move forward on. Any questions from the council team? Councilor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. So this might just be a strange question to ask, but I noticed that it says that we need to have $25 million worth of automotive liability insurance. Is that a typo?
Clerk will run.
Through you, Mayor Broad. I don't believe it is. I believe we use the same limits, agreement limits, but it's, I can't think of the top of our head what our fleet limit is, but it didn't raise any red flags to me when I reviewed it with the chief. But it's something we can confirm to make sure it's an appropriate limit, but I was comfortable with it when I would review that. Okay.
Yeah, because through you, Mayor, just because I also noticed it's also up above, it says municipal liability insurance is also at 25 million. So I wasn't sure if maybe it was just supposed to be the 2 million or the 5 million in the automotive. Yeah, I just thought that was really high, that's all.
Through you, Mayor Broad, the minimum would be 5 million for sure. So if it's something council would like us to just confirm before we proceed with the agreement, looks like the chief has something to say too.
Yeah, it does, just the motion, just so we're clear, the motion does say that the agreement will be brought back to council for final approval, so at that time, we can get those answers and clarify for final approval.
Sorry, and through
Go
you,
ahead,
Mr. Mayor. So all of those other terms such as insurances and stuff, we left those as they stood before. I can dig through and see what the history on it was prior to that and if they had increased or if anything changed, and bring that back.
Sure. Over here?
Yeah, sorry, maybe we just keep talking through you, Mayor Broad, so I suspect we probably should get a hold of our insurance company and then just to clarify, verify what the actual amounts are, just so we're not
Yeah,
potentially overpaying for something or saying that we've got something in a bylaw.
that we don't have. That would be,
That's really,
I think,
that's really
yeah,
not
that's all right.
what we
Exactly.
have, so.
Yep, okay.
Other than that, then yeah, I think we're all good.
Yeah, okay, very good. So then the motion is, council received report FS 2025-02 regarding automatic aid agreement between Township of North Dundas and the municipality of South Dundas. And the council directs fire chief and director of emergency service to present a new automatic aid agreement to the Township of North Dundas for consideration to be accepted by their council. That upon acceptance by the Township of North Dundas, the agreement be brought back to this council for final approval and execution. And then with the clarification of the insurance policy numbers. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino, all in favor? Carried, thank you very much. And last one, Chief, FS 2025-03, successful grant funding, fire prevention.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. We were successful in the first round of fire protection grants. This is something the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs has worked closely with the province on. And this first round of grants was tailored towards cancer prevention. So as part of our cancer prevention program, we were looking to outfit everybody with forestry coveralls. So these are NFPA certified coveralls for forestry calls. They can use them on medical calls, those types of things. So they're more expensive, robust structure firefighting gear. Isn't getting the wear and abuse, so it should last longer with less repairs. And staff are not exposed to the levels of PFAS and contaminants and stuff that are, even though properly washed, still embedded within the gear.
Yeah, thanks, Chief, for that. I remember some of the conversations we had in our reviews, using the bunker gear less is better, so this is a great opportunity to get funding for those coveralls. Any questions? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, so we were fortunate receiving $24,000. The quote to outfit everybody was, I believe, 27,000 and change, so
We're pretty close, so that's good.
very close.
So we're looking for the difference. Questions, comments? All right, to have a motion that council authorize the fire chief proceed with procurement of the NFPA 1977 compliant wildland firefighting coveralls utilizing the fire protection grant funding of $24,000 with the remaining balance of $3,789 plus HST be allotted from the health and safety budget. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaws. 9A, 2025-17, proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 2010-48, Valcraft Homes. Planner Stephanie Moore.
Thank you. So a public meeting was concurrently held for the Valecraft subdivision and associated zoning amendment on February 14th, 2024. So I'm just going to remind you a little bit about what that was about. It's coming back to council for approval now that Valecraft has entered into a pre-servicing agreement, and the subdivision planning phase is nearing sort of the end of that process. So the proposed zoning amendment seeks to rezone Valecraft's lands from residential first density R1, residential first density special exception 1, R1-1, and residential fourth density special exception 2, R42, and open space to the proposed residential third density special exception 2, that's R32, residential fourth density special exception 2, R4-2, and open space. It'll increase the range of permitted residential uses and accommodate the approved draft plan by adjusting the existing R4-2 zone to match the proposed apartment block. It also adjusts the existing open space zone to match the proposed park block. It rezones the 2 proposed storm ponds, and it also rezones the remaining portion of the site to R3 with a special exception 2. That zone permits proposed detached, semi-detached, and townhouse dwellings. As well, it reduces the minimum lot size for a single detached dwelling to 400 square meters to suit the proposed smaller dwellings on smaller lots. It reduces the minimum lot width for single detached dwellings to 12 meters to suit the proposed smaller dwellings on narrower lots, and increases the lot coverage percentages for semi-detached and row dwellings to 45%. It also removes the group setback requirement for blocks of more than 4 row dwellings. Their townhouse blocks are very well articulated, and the exterior walls achieve the intent of this provision without needing to offset the units themselves. Additionally, staff have identified a common zoning bylaw provision for model homes that's missing in the current zoning bylaw. So staff have included this provision in this amendment for all future subdivision developments. The text reads 3.44 model homes. Notwithstanding the provisions of this bylaw where a pre-servicing agreement or subdivision agreement has been executed by the owner, more than one single detached dwelling, semi-detached dwelling, or townhouse dwelling may be constructed on a lot prior to the registration of the plan of subdivision, subject to the following. The dwelling shall be permitted in the zone in which it is to be located, and each dwelling unit shall be used for the purpose of a model home only, and shall not be occupied as a dwelling unit prior to the date of the registration of the subdivision plan. B, the maximum number of model homes shall not exceed 10 dwelling units and may be any combination of single detached dwellings, semi-detached dwelling units, or townhouse dwelling units within the plan of subdivision proposed for registration. And C, the model home shall comply with all other provisions of the bylaw though the dwellings and or units were constructed on the lot within the future registered plan of subdivision. So essentially adding provisions for model homes into the zoning bylaw will provide developers the opportunity to progress through the subdivision site works while concurrently supporting the business to construct their offerings. So sort of keep them moving on pace. And in the future, all developers will be able to take advantage of these provisions. The draft plan and supporting studies and engineering work were put together with this zoning amendment in consideration. This is very well planned out. The zoning amendment reflects the needs of a more dense development and reflects the style of construction that lends to the community that Valecraft is building. So staff recommend the amendment be approved as it's consistent with the PPS and the official plan.
Thank you, Ms. Bourne. Questions? Comments? All good, Deputy?
Yeah, no, it's fairly straightforward. Sorry, fairly straightforward. I'm glad to see that there's provisions of building model homes. I mean, sometimes that's a hurdle with some other municipalities before everything is nicely serviced and buttoned up, so it's good to see that. No, it's just good.
Good. Okay. Could I have a motion that council approve the proposed amendment of zoning bylaw 2010-48 ZBL pertaining to the subject lands, part lot 1-2, part lot 50, lot 6-14, part lot 100, part lot 20 PL 100, lot 4-5, part lot 111, former village of Iroquois, now the municipality of South Dundas. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to 9B, 2015, proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 2010-48. Stefavia, Ms. Warren, continue.
Perfect. So as discussed during the public meeting, an application to amend the zoning bylaw was received for 68 Campbell Street. That's currently under construction. The number of parking spaces required for a building of that size is 113. While their site plan has provided 113 parking spots, they only wish to construct 36 at this time. The current zoning bylaw does not differentiate between industrial uses for parking requirements, and the bylaw uses building size to calculate the number of spaces, given that the fact that most industrial uses require many employees. Warehousing typically has a much less employee to space ratio. And so because the subject property currently does have space for 113 required parking spaces, it is ultimately a poor use of land, given that the employee needs of the business and the future build out of the property is to include also more warehouses. So staff have identified an alternative parking calculation similar to other rural zoning bylaws and have included this in the amendment, which I mentioned earlier at the public meeting. And by providing a different calculation for the subject lands, additional phases can be constructed with a more appropriate parking calculation. So staff recommend approving this amendment as it's consistent with the provincial policy statements, or provincial planning statements, and conform to the county official plan.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Warren. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that council approve the proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 2010-48 ZBL pertaining to the subject lands of 68 Campbell Street, Morrisburg, Ontario, concession 1, part lot 29, plan 46, part lots 1 and 2, 13, in the former municipality of Williamsburg, now the municipality of South Dundas. Assessment roll part number 06050020546014. All motion, Councillor Ward, second. Councillor Smith, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Continue on, Ms. Moore, 2025-19 Development Agreement. Brian Cole.
All right, thank you. So the county conditionally approved a severance application, number B6424, for the creation of a residential lot within 500 meters of lands identified as priority bedrock reserve. So given that there's an existing license at the far south of the property across the street, there is a strong potential for future mineral aggregate extraction northern. So a condition of approval requires the landowner to enter into an agreement as it relates to future development of the severed and retained parcels. And in consultation with the landowners, so Mr. Cole is aware of this agreement, the landowner opted to enter into this development agreement in lieu of submitting an aggregate impact assessment. So staff recommend entering into the development agreement with Brian Cole.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, a motion that Council of South Dundas approve bylaw 2025-19, being a bylaw to enter a development agreement with Brian Cole. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Ms. Moore, busy night with us tonight. Thank you. And moving on to 9D, 2025-20, Rideau St. Lawrence Amendment Shareholders Agreement. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. As council will remember, at the January 22nd regular meeting of council, the president and CEO of Rideau St. Lawrence Utilities, Simon Wu, provided an update on the proposed changes to the Rideau St. Lawrence Unanimous Shareholders Agreement. The original agreement dates back to the year 2000, and the agreement before you tonight is results from feedback from the shareholders at the AGM meeting. And of course, the board of directors and the executive team reviewed this agreement and collaborated with shareholder representation, CAOs, legal counsel to incorporate all the input. So following council's approval tonight, the bylaw authorizing the amended shareholder agreement will be distributed to the other municipalities and partners. And the
Therefore,
That's it.
and the board. Very good. Any questions or comments from the council team? Yeah, Councillor Smith.
Through you, Mayor Broad, I read through this earlier and I was trying to just remember from the last meeting about, we were talking about like the voting.
The voting,
procedure,
yes.
Like the weighted
Yeah,
vote.
sure.
So
Yeah.
there
So-
was nothing in here mentioned.
So
about
it
that.
stays, so what we decided was it stays the same. and it's 80% of the shareholders, so we own 33%.
Okay.
So we have veto and power.
Veto power. If
Yeah,
that stayed
the same, yes,
Okay.
stayed the same, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, I have a motion that council approve bylaw 2025-20 authorizing the execution of an amendment and restated unanimous shareholder agreement with Rito St. Lawrence Holding, Inc., and that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to execute the amended restated unanimous shareholders agreement and the other documentation to give effect to this resolution. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councilor Ward, all in favor, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, boards and committees. We did have 2 meetings this week. I had one, Mark had one, Deputy Mayor had one. Well, we had ECDF too. Yes. Okay, so Tuesday, we had a county meeting. We had a good presentation, our annual presentation from the River Institute. So Dr. Brian Hickey was there with some of his team, just went through things that are happening within the river and some of the great work they do. Obviously, one of the topics we did talk about was their involvement with the river levels, and which has stabilized over the last 2 years with the International Joint Commission, which is important to our recreational boaters. But then their work just in the fisheries and wildlife continues to be very strong, and they continue to get funding from other organizations, and they've built a new little research center and building, so that continues to be a strong. One of note that kind of affects maybe a lot of our residents in the north end or north west end of the municipality, Inkerman Bridge. So we have gone to a tender for the Inkerman Bridge. There is a public meeting, I believe March 19th, 3 to 6 p.m., just for how the traffic flow and what's going to happen while the Inkerman Bridge is under construction. We did talk also about some cold patch repair, County Road 2022 reconstruction, Grady's Bridge. And so far, all of our tenders have come in significantly under budget. So we're quite pleased with A, the pricing, and B, the amount of bidders on the bridge, the Inkerman Bridge alone. We had 12 contractors bid on the job. I remember 2 years ago, we had 2 people bid on bridges. So this is great news from competitiveness of people wanting to work, and it keeps our costs down. Yeah, and the bids were very close too. Like the top 6 were only within a few $10,000, so it was very good budgeting, good on that. Otherwise, that was probably the highlights of the meetings. Yeah. Then last night we had an active community involvement meeting, short one.
Yeah, it was
Deputy
a
Mayor?
short one. It was nice and sweet. We talked about a few things. The South Dundas Chamber of Commerce came in just for a little bit of a delegation, and just to discuss how we could continue to support each other in the role of advertising and promoting of business. Globally, the municipality will continue taking on kind of a shop in South Dundas, shop in SD&G, where the chamber then can or will or can then zone in on specific businesses, so they can promote, I'm just saying McEwen's or promote
Ultramar or
anything.
whatever.
Yeah, we'll just keep it global. We'll just continue. We're going to ramp that up on our website as well, just to continue with that, with all the talks surrounding tariffs and all that other good stuff. We talked about lifeguard updates. We just gave an update to the committee that we have, I think it's 6 of them, 4 or 6 lifeguards that we're going to hire, students at 4 this year, but we also went out for funding, so if we were successful in the funding, then we would put that towards additional lifeguards. And, there was some discussion about lifeguards on the weekends and whatnot, and I think it should be a discussion for our joint waterfront committee coming up on Monday as well. One of the things I did want to note, and I want to make sure I get this correct, because it kind of stuck with me. Atia went to a conference in Toronto, ECDEV conference in Toronto, and had some good speakers, and she mentioned that Ted Nolan, and I'm not sure Tom, Ted Nolan, he used to be an NHL coach, Indigenous, very well spoken, and he said a quote, and it kind of stuck with me the other night, and I asked Tia to make sure she emailed me, so I just got it correct. And it's something that, you know, we've always struggled with in terms of talking about tourism, talking about ECDev, that, you know, we always go on vacation, we always go other places, and how many times, and I know I get caught, well, we should do this in South Dundas, and we should do that in South Dundas, and reality is, I've always been a promoter of South Dundas, of what we are and how good we are. But he had a quote, and it says, you have to learn to win with what you've got, or you won't win at all. And I think that resonated with me, that sometimes we just gotta look within ourselves and within our municipality and make that a success, and then other things will come. So anyways, I just want to pass that on. I guess it was just something that
Yeah, no, it's so true.
resonated with me,
Yeah.
and I just think that's something. So anyways, we didn't get into the economic development draft action plan. We had a couple people that were away last night, so we're just gonna defer that for the next meeting.
Yeah, and I think when Mr. Pui said the quote, turn the page on our strat plan that says promoting existing businesses, right? That's one of our legs, right? So there's a direct link there, so that's great. Okay, moving on to 11, consent agenda. A, information building statistics for January. B, information SD&G salt management plan. C, resolution town of Coburg municipal restructuring study. D, resolution Hanover, United States imposition of tariffs on Canada. And E, KR landfill capacity, from Director Hyman. I have a motion that all listed items on general consent of the agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, second by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, last discussion item for the night. We can go to Director Hyman, Matilda Transfer Station Phase 1 design.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we'll leave the best report right to the end.
You bet.
And that's, keep everybody wide awake and sit on their heels waiting for this exciting news. So back in November 6th of 2024, Council approved awarding WSP Consulting with an upset limit of $9,600 for a concept design for our transfer station at the Matilda landfill. So in front of you is the first draft that you'll find in consultation with WSP. We, myself and Jennifer Brown Hahn went back and forth on some ideas, and we brought forward in front of you right now. So next steps, where we're going with this is, as previously presented in the landfill capacity report, which was in the consent items. The landfill capacity right now, as we sit, has a lifespan of 3 years. And within that 3 years, that is accepting waste at a annual amount of 3,650 cubic meters. So that is truly half of what we would have received in 2023. So that number, 3,600, comes from January till July of 2024. So now this year, in 2025, we'll have none coming into our landfill for curbside collection. So that 3 years, we can truly anticipate is going to be longer than that 3 year mark. So this isn't a panic item, is what I'm getting at. So we could talk about it, we could think it through. So I'm presenting you with feedback from council on what our next steps are. So next steps would be, one, to accept the design presented in front of you, a basic design, low maintenance. The residents come in, they meet the attendant at the guard shack, then they either proceed to the electronics bin, to the mattress trailer, or they proceed up and unload their waste in the corresponding bins. And then they exit around and exit the landfill site. So we can accept the design as presented, and then we could proceed to detailed design and construction drawings. Or two, we can accept the design and then hold off. And then we essentially put it on the shelf until we're ready to pull the trigger to proceed with making the transfer station. So I will note that anticipated reserves at the end of 2025 will be 1.16 million, with the budgeted transfer to reserves of 250,000 for 2025. So if we continue with the 250,000 for 2026 and so on, then once we're to the upset limit, which they gave us as 2.7 million to build it, which I believe is high, truly a Class D estimate, that we can bring those costs down. And that's with 350,000 as a contingency. So that's included in that 2.7 million that we did receive. So all I'm looking for is direction from council on what route we'd like to take, and I'll proceed with that direction. I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Well, thank you, Director Hyman. Yeah, it's great that we continue to talk about it, and I think we should continue to move, but maybe we could just go slowly. That may be a good idea to your point, but certainly open it up for a conversation at this point. Just so I'm clear, and and just for anybody looking online or watching, just seeing the drawing today. Today, where we have our burn pile is where that side of the road is where the drawing dictates where the transfer station is located, and then the hill to the right of the drawing is where the dump garbage goes today.
That is correct.
That's correct. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense of the flow around, et cetera. So.
So through you, Mayor, to offer a little bit more context, within the drawing, there's bins associated to scrap steel, and there's bins associated to tires. We have two options with that. We can try the bins, and then if it's too much of a challenge to utilize them, we can remove them and still put the scrap steel on the ground and still put the tires in a pile, and they could still be collected that way. So we're not truly handcuffed to using the bins for those two items. However, we included them in the drawings because we may need more yard and leaf bins. We just don't know. I've allotted two for yard and leaf, 3 waste, and then construction debris. We could need 2 construction debris. I just don't know at this point. So there's room there.
Councilor Ward, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mayor. So I don't particularly have an issue with the design at all. I think it's fine. I think 2.7 million is a lot of money for this. So I struggle, like you said, that's a Class D estimate. So I really hope that it's not 2.7 million, and I'd hope that it would come back to council if it is that or more for us to discuss further, because I'm not willing to make a $2.7 million investment in a transfer station. So that would be my comment on that. I do want to go back for a second because you mentioned it, so I hope I can sort of talk about it. I look to the clerk, so please call me out if I'm out of line here. So the capacity report that was in consent, I just want to clarify if anyone's reading the agenda package, because I find the drawing really hard to read because the colors, I can't see them very well. If WSP could just change the color, because I can't tell the hatching from, you know what I mean? Like there's green on green and I can't see the green hatching unless it's over top of the pink. So it's just hard for me to understand. And the reason why I asked that, Mayor, if I may just continue on that topic, is I'd really like to see if we could cap Matilda landfill in phases rather than all at once. So if there's an area that's at final, if we could just ask WSP if we could cap in phases so that we could save money in a sense that we're not going to cap it all at once. So that makes sense to council. So if we cap in phases, then we can operationally still use the rest of the landfill, but also save money towards the $2.7 million transfer station, which I hope is not 2.7 million.
Yeah, right. So I think your point is cap what we can with the money we have, leave some of it open for then the waste we do collect in the bins, we could just put them on the pile. We're not paying to take them to GFL and Moose Creek, saving us money, that we keep saving money. That's what you're suggesting.
Well, I think,
or idea anyways.
yeah, so I think like maybe Jeff wants to go first. Maybe I'll just let Jeff talk.
Sure.
So through you, Mayor Broad,
Yeah.
so exactly to your point, and I had a hard time seeing the drawings until I sat down with Jennifer and she brought out a drawing that was the size of the table, and I said, okay, this makes sense, right? So the issue with what you're presenting, and it's not an issue, it's that the bulk of our free space is the furthest point away from where the trucks go up the hill. So I'm fully prepared that we'll have to build a road to go up and then to the south to fill. And then obviously, yes, we'll fill from the south to the north, and we'll get rid of cells 3 and 6. We'll clear those up because they're the 2 cells to the furthest south. we'll get those, we'll bring them to grade, and then definitely we can then address with WSP, on next steps for clay cover and topsoil, and we'll close it up and we'll put it to bed type of thing. So that's definitely my plan, but we have lots of years now to get to that point. So yes, we're definitely gonna get there.
I also just want to make one comment because I want to caution council because I've seen this before. So I hope, to Director Hyman's point, that WSP is fairly confident in this calculation, because I feel like we've seen this before and then it's come back and there's been less than a year and now we're back to, I can understand how things fluctuate based on volume, but if you're looking, you're correct, right? So those, the northern, I guess it's the northernmost cells, that should have been highlighted a long time ago by WSP, that they're underfilled. Because you guys stopped filling in those cells quite some time ago. So anyways, I know things settle over time, but I just want to make sure that WSP is fairly confident in this calculation, because I don't want to be bought. I don't want the next council to have to deal with oh my gosh, actually it's 0.3 of a year rather than, I mean, we will have the transfer station to manage that, but at the same time, you want to have the money you need to cap the landfill. So it's just my comment, because we've been here before, so.
Yeah, no, fair point for sure. Yeah, and you know, over another cycle, we get some more scans and then we'll have a better confidence in the scans for sure. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and not to pile on, I was kind of on the same wavelength on that one, just because dealing with this 2 terms ago when, you know, we thought we had 12, 13 years, and then it became 7 years, and all of a sudden it became 2 years. And so I just want to make sure that they're very confident and continue looking at the topo and adjusting. I'm assuming if it's adjustment, it's going to be a slight adjustment. It won't be a big one. Question I have for you, though, on the bins on the transfer station, the size of the bins that you're proposing, just visually in my mind, compared to the bin that's with the yard waste that we host every year, is similar size, or are these bins much bigger?
So through your Mayor Broad, no, the ones that we use for the yard and leaf, those are a 20-yard bin. These will be 40-yard bins.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because I know that there's an issue with the yard waste, that these bins get filled within, you know, the first hour and a half of an opening of that site, and then everybody else is left with, well, we have no room to put the yard waste. Are we confident that we've got enough number of bins to be able to properly service what we believe is going to be brought into our waste?
So through your Mayor Broad, so right now, we're dumping, and when I say dumping, we're taking the 2 red bins that we have at the bottom of our landfill presently. We're emptying 4 of those on a good week on our landfill. So, and those are 20-yard bins. So through a hired service, obviously, if I believe that with 3 being there, 3 40-yard bins, that we should have more than enough room. And it's a phone call to say, hey, the bin's full, can you come and switch it out?
Okay, yeah, it's good to know. And I guess the other question, though, on that one, is this set up that if we needed to expand with more bins, we could easily do that in the future?
Well, if you eliminate, sorry, through your Mayor Broad, if we eliminated the steel and tire bins, then we just freed up 2 more spots.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just don't want to handcuff us that, you know, it's a good, like Councilor Ward says, and was a little bit of a sticker shot, realizing it's a Class D of 2.7 million. That's a lot of money for asphalt and whatnot, but I just want to make sure that we're setting this up for success, not for 5-10 years, but for like 30-40 years. And that's why I just want to know, or want to ensure that we do have the ability that if for some reason we have to increase, or the council of the day needs to increase the number of bins, that it's not going to cost a whole lot of money. It's an easy transition just to include bins and modify this. You know, the other comment I'd have, if you take the pink and you do like a circular loop, on the closing days, you probably could get a go-kart track going. Maybe
some up and
generate
down.
some more money. No, that's good. The only comment I would, on a serious note, the comment I would have is I just don't want to get caught in 3 years, or the council of the day, getting caught in 3 years going, oh, now we really got to be in a hurry to build this thing because, you know, I think we should, the council of a day, whether it's us or somebody else, should be proactive and probably should get this built and operation at least a year in advance of when we think the landfill will be to the full capacity. Just give us that time.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Vino, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, just a couple points that I had here. One of them, there's no actual dimensions or anything on here, so it's hard to tell where exactly everything will land, but the burn pile looks precariously close to your, to the, scrap wood bins and leaf bins and whatnot. So if we're burning on the burn pile and then next thing all of our bins are on fire, it's going to keep our fire department busy. So I would just, again, like it's hard to tell exactly how far that is, but just maybe a consideration. The granular pad, I know we're talking about a $2.7 million, hopefully not thing here, but whenever it does come time to putting this out to tender, I'd be interested to see what that would be in asphalt or concrete, because we're going to plow that all winter. So we're going to forever be putting gravel in and touching that up and playing with that. So it'd be a good thing for us to have both quotes there. Cause I agree, we're looking to do this for many, many years going forward. So it needs to be low maintenance. And to the deputy mayor's point, building for the future, like if we were to grow, which we are growing, if there would be a provision potentially, I don't know if this is something they could look at. I don't know where the elevations are for the ramps to go up and down, but on the south side, if you could kind of have it set up that we could add bins, like pour another pad or another granular pad right there, and then maybe get another half a dozen bins or something down on that side, but basically build it for expansion down the road, depending on where the elevations land for their ramps to go up and down. Just food for thought for future.
So through you, Mayor Broad, so where you see where it says the green area, soil, grass, so where it narrows up to the left-hand side of the screen, if you were to continue that green straight across the pinky area, that's your elevation coming down.
Okay.
So the road coming out would come, as soon as you go past that last bin and you make the left-hand turn, then you're coming down to grade. You're coming down to ground level, and then the whole roadway out is at ground level.
Okay. And again, we don't have to go through the exact ways to do it, but even if we then widen the middle part potentially, that we could have bins where the seated area is down through the middle. I'm just thinking if they could come up with a plan for expansion in the future, I think it would be good. It would be nice of us for the future councils to have that already built into there. We did it on a warehouse, like made it so you can just take the wall off and add another 20,000 square feet, and we're going to use it. So it's, I think, a smart way to go.
Great. Councilor Smith?
Through you, Mayor Broad, what was the price? Was it not around $1 million, the price just for capping the Matilda landfill itself before we start doing this?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Through your, Mayor Broad, it was
1 point something.
one point something more million. That was in 2019 when we capped Williamsburg.
Yeah.
So, and prices haven't come down, so they've only increased. So I can't give you that true number until it comes time to tender for it. But yeah, so the phased approach, like was mentioned,
Yeah.
definitely is probably the way to go. Yes.
Okay. And the other question I had was on the area where they're proposing to build it, is there not, like, whenever they first started using that landfill, like back in the 70s, it was like a trench and fill, and that was the area where the first trenches were dug, was around there. Is it okay to, are we building over top of it? And is that okay?
So yeah, so you'd have more background knowledge than I would. I knew that
That's a good history there.
yeah, that's a lot of history.
I was there when I was a kid.
So I know that on the east side of the roadway, that was trench and fill on the east side. The west side, that's knowledge to me that they did trench and fill on that side. However, we're gonna have to do testings anyways, geotesting to make sure that it can support it and all the fun stuff, so.
Okay, so, yeah, so if I remember back whenever I was 6, that it was on both sides, if I remember correctly.
Councilor Ian?
Okay, well, that brings up an interesting point then. If should we be looking at doing some of this testing prelim before we even bother with any more of this? Because otherwise we're coming up with a plan on a piece of property that we'll never be able to build it on. Yeah.
Councilor Ward? Yep.
So through you, Mayor, this wouldn't be the only landfill that has things built on top of waste. It's not unheard of, and it probably would be accounted for in their soil stability when they do that. I don't want to speak on behalf of Jeff, but it's not uncommon to see this, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. If we were going to build a house or a structure on top of it, maybe, but not
Concrete pad.
not a concrete pad, no.
Yeah. So I think kind of the feeling I'm getting from council, they give me a thumbs up or head nod, like, maybe let's come back in a couple of months, committee of the whole meeting, and, let's think about what we've got. Like you said, we don't need to rush now, so would that be kind of an appetite? We'll come back in a month or two, have an idea we've had tonight to think about it, and, we'll come back with some other ideas and options we can just talk through as we continue to work down this path. Would that be acceptable, Councilor Ward?
Yeah, I think that would be great, Mayor, but if I could ask when that does come back, if staff could have not a Class D app, like a Class B would be, I would think the design, if council's going with this, that we should have a talk about costs and then financing it, how we're going to, budget for it in the future. If we're not building it this year, how much we're putting into the reserve or whatever, so if that could be done.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad, and I'm not trying to say that this is a simple design, but it's a pretty simple design that we could get a Class B estimate pretty quick, so I think we could shore that up with unit rates and even talk with our local contractors. I mean, we do this all the time in the development world. We'll talk to our contractors to see what kind of pricing's out there. We don't hold them to it because it's not a bid, but at least it gives us a good flavor of what the actual unit rates are, so I agree with that. Just to ask another question though, on the capping, that's just got to be clean topsoil, organics can be mixed into that capping material, Jeff, or is there a certain quality?
So through you, Mayor Broad, so we'd have to bring it to the proper grade and then the proper slope, which is a 20% from your center to your outer edge, and then it's a 25 down to grade. And then there's so much depth of clay material, non-permeable, right? So it doesn't want the rainwater to get through it. And then you top it with another certain predetermined amount of topsoil and then seed it. And that's your capping process.
Have we reached out to any of the local developers that's ongoing in South Dundas? Because we do know that there's some development happening that's on clay soil that may or may not have excess material that may be able to give that material to us, or we can access that material. We have any discussions with any of our local subdivisions going on and stuff?
So through you, Mayor Broad, so I'm in consultation with Valcraft down in Iroquois. And I mentioned that question. Any surplus materials, I could use it for cover as long as you give me the proper documentation that it's not contaminated. And he said, I'd love to help you out, Jeff. However, I'm gonna have to bring Phil in for the project. So that's
But we
where we're
also
at with
have one
that.
in Mooresburg that's got a lot of excess material there as well, that I don't know if you reached out to.
I haven't
Swank
talked to the
Construction, but
Swank,
I would, I know that type of soil is very hard paying clay. And then there's a lot of overburden and topsoil there, so it may be worth reaching out to them. I mean, if you can get a good price on some excess material, certainly is worth it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yep. Councilor Avino.
Yep, through your mayor. I'm good with, shelving, bringing this back in a few months, but I'd like to do it in a timeline that we could, like ahead of staff's budget preparations. Cause I personally like to have this in budget for 26 for the draft plans, like for the construction plans. So at least that part is basically make it shovel ready if we could, so that in case we get caught with this, with a miscalculation somewhere on on our landfill, then we're much more prepared.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Okay.
So we're going to proceed with option 3 or option
Take a look.
2?
2.5.
2.5? Okay, so we're gonna put her on the shelf then, so I'll talk with WSP and tell them that, this is where we're at, we like the design as it is.
Yeah.
And, I'll work with, Jennifer at WSP to come up with more realistic numbers. And I'll also work with, David, with the plaza concept, where we can maybe see what true numbers might be, and, we'll bring that back.
Very good. Okay. Thank you for your continued effort on that. We've come a long ways in 2 years on landfill and okay. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, ratification, bylaw 2025, the bylaw to adopt, confirm, ratify matters dealt with by resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. And the motion, council now adjourned to meet at the call of the chair. Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward, all in favor? Carried. So as we bring our meeting to a close for Wednesday, February 19th, we didn't have to call on interim CAO, Ms. Stewart, so congratulations, Ms. Stewart, first meeting through. Just want to say, and I gave my opening remarks on thanking all the roads and everybody involved with snow removal, so thank you for that. And there's lots of activities going on in the next few weeks, so good luck to all the volunteers and the people participating in all the activities we have throughout the municipality. So with that, I'll say goodnight from South